All of it revolves on Bob Dylan, a mysterious poet who embodies a generation's voice. On his heels, though, is the unyielding and ferocious Joni Mitchell, whose songs are so sharp they could sever glass. On the surface, they are folk world titans, but there is a quiet storm brewing beneath the surface, and they are both admired for their unique talent and biting humor. Fans were taken aback when Bob Dylan, who is usually mysterious and reserved, revealed his feelings towards Joni Mitchell. Questions over the nature of this complicated connection were sparked by an unexpected interview in which Dylan expressed both adoration and frustration. He acknowledged Joni's brilliance, but he also criticized her for being difficult to read and unexpected for her fans. A complex friendship, if that term even applies, was revealed in that rare moment when Dylan's thoughts peeled back its layers. If you want to grasp Dylan's comments, you have to know Joni Mitchell. Mitchell possessed a unique blend of artistic and poetic abilities, allowing her to paint vivid portraits of human emotions. Joni Mitchell is famous for her profoundly reflective lyrics that eloquently conveyed emotions such as love, solitude, liberation, and suffering. Now, her deeply felt, uncompromising songs like Both Sides and A Case of You showed her. However, there was a bit of a bite to Joni's genius. Her strong sense of independence and challenging personality frequently caused her to clash with others in her life. Mitchell was prepared to fight her way through the music industry, which she saw as more of a battleground than a pleasant competition. Even if it meant going to war with her classmates, she would not budge from her refusal to conform. Her peers held her in high esteem and held her in low esteem due to her dogged persistence. The news that Dylan was a plagiarist startled fans and sent shockwaves across the folk scene, according to Joni. She thought Dylan was a thief since he stole music and lyrics without properly attributing them. Dylan had long been hailed as a genius for his own musical achievements, thus her remarks hit particularly hard. However, Joni had little interest in keeping the peace. When it came to her, genuineness and creativity were paramount. She was unafraid to point out when people failed to uphold what she considered to be these holy, inviolable attributes. Imagine two folk heroes who are blatantly loyal to their craft and who are also immensely proud of themselves. The discoveries that Dylan made about Joni struck at the core of their intricate relationship. Although he had admiration for her, he struggled with her stubbornness. He stated she's difficult to read, implying a character who could be captivating yet distant. Regardless of the consequences, Joni was unafraid to speak her mind when it came to Dylan or anyone else in the industry who she felt was being insincere. They were always in a constant state of conflict, with their relationship veering more toward animosity than friendship. Dylan had relied too much on myth and ego, in Joni's opinion, despite her love for his artistry. Meanwhile, Dylan perceived in Joni an unease, an unwillingness to conform, or an honest, unabashed side. With a healthy dose of mutual admiration and occasional animosity, the two icons' dynamic left fans guessing as to whether they were on good terms or at odds. Not only did Dylan endure Joni's biting tongue, but so did other artists. Mitchell engaged in numerous creative feuds and confrontations with anyone who dared to oppose her throughout her career. Her feud with David Crosby is well known. The artist who produced her CD subsequently said that she found her difficult and unyielding. She has a fantastic mind, yet she is so challenging. It was Crosby who famously said, despite their shared past, Joni and Crosby frequently found themselves at disagreement due to their radically diverse musical tastes, and their friendship was as tumultuous as it was intimate. Beyond the folk realm, Mitchell's problems continued. She famously butted heads with Madonna, whom she viewed as personifying all that she despised about the commercial aspect of pop music. The concept that a pop star could comprehend or represent Joni's life was so ridiculous that she laughed at the whispers that Madonna would play Mitchell in a movie. Mitchell considered music a holy art form, the product of his own unique creative process. It was demeaning to see it marketed, even by Madonna and other megastars. Leonard Cohen, the renowned Canadian singer-songwriter, was another significant figure in Joni's short but passionate relationship. Despite mutual admiration for one another's work, the artists' personalities were at odds. Cohen's reflective sadness and Joni's raging ardor were just too dissimilar to find common ground. Mitchell would later speak about Cohen in interviews with a combination of fondness and resentment, praising Cohen's talent but indicating that their relationship was bound to fail. In spite of their differences, Bob Dylan appeared to see a reflection of himself in Joni. They were both artists who rejected being lumped into a specific genre or pigeonholed by the standards of their field. They were both notoriously tough people who were completely devoted to their craft and were prepared to give up fame in exchange for genuine success. Dylan didn't merely criticize Joni. He seemed to be acknowledging a common problem when he declared her hard to read. Both of them went where few dared to go, on a journey that required undivided attention and, at times, complete seclusion. However, Joni was adamant about staying terribly genuine, while Dylan experimented with mythology, crafting an identity that fascinated and perplexed. Her songs were almost too honest and exposed, yet she wore her emotions on her sleeve nevertheless. Dylan was impressed and unsettled by Joni's candor because he carefully guarded his own life. It served as a reflection of an artistic daring he admired but lacked the courage to achieve. Even as her music reached legendary heights, Joni Mitchell's reputation for being challenging only strengthened with the years. She started to avoid the spotlight and the continual drama that came with celebrity. Being herself triumphed over conformity and isolation over pretense for Joni. She rejected interviews, skipped award presentations, and generally stayed away from professional gatherings because she wouldn't play the games that other people in the industry did. Even though her dogged independence cemented her place in art history as an incredibly innovative figure, it also served to separate her from the world she had helped construct, a place she never truly felt at home in. People in her field said she was impulsive, but for Joni, it was just the cost of being honest. She opted to avoid the limelight and the pressures of stardom while her other artists eagerly embraced them. She abandoned the folk that had brought her fame in favor of jazz and experimental sounds, which made her songs less approachable and more introspective. Her formerly devoted fan base was now deeply divided. Some admired her courage, while others longed for the Joni of yesteryear. But there was no going back for her. Being authentic was essential. Or she would ask, "What's the point?" with a rebelliousness that was both moving and inspirational. Over time, her decisions caused her to lose the support of many in her field. David Crosby and others who worked with her in the past were impressed by her talent, but confused by her stubborn personality. According to Crosby, Joni's genius is undeniable, but she has the potential to be quite stubborn. A musical conundrum. She was nice, yet emotionally detached. Although many artists find a balance between collaboration and competition, Joni appeared to regard her path as solo, opting for seclusion as a shield from an incomprehensible world. A misunderstood, revered, and perpetual outsider, Joni remained a loner even as the praise poured in. Her immense success came with a hint of isolation, as if her brilliance had cost her the ability to form meaningful relationships. Despite her many accomplishments, Joni appeared to live in a fantasy world where her music had profound emotional resonance, but her real existence was devoid of meaning. Despite the fact that she sought refuge in art, nature, and solitude as a result of her rebellion, she was isolated in an industry that valued teamwork and friendship. Bob Dylan, one of the few of his contemporaries who could relate to the struggles faced by brilliant people, watched Joni's journey with a mix of awe and sadness. To him, she represented a soulmate. Despite being an artist who despised compromise, he could still see the tragic irony in her story. That was Joni Dylan who said it, with a hint of longing. Solid as rock. However, Dylan must consider the price that Joni paid. Her loneliness was not an afterthought, but rather the result of her lifelong decisions to value art over friendship and honesty over ease. He had admiration for her, but he also saw the sadness in her life, which appeared to be plagued by the toll of her unwavering honesty, despite its brilliant aspects. As a reminder of the double-edged nature of brilliance, Joni Mitchell's biography is both an inspiring tale of victory and a haunting tale of solitude. She was admired and alone at the same time during her path because of her unwavering dedication to her vision. The sacrifices she made, the friendships she strained, the connections she lost, and the solitude that became her companion are all remembered by fans today, even as they adore her as one of the finest composers of all time. As far as Joni is concerned, there was never any other option. Even if it meant going it alone, this was her destiny. A legacy defined by friendships that turned into feuds and adulation perpetually shrouded in hatred. Joni Mitchell's narrative is one of ferocious victory and unrelenting tension. Showing her respect was not an option for her. It was an absolute must. And when others showed her respect, she scrutinized them closely. For herself and everyone else in her life, she had impossible expectations. Very few could fathom or replicate the decision. A rare view into the complicated person she was provided by Bob Dylan's revelation about her, which was an honest blend of admiration and annoyance. Like many others, Dylan recognized Joni for what she was, an extraordinary, unique, and unstoppable force of nature. Compromise, in her view, was a betrayal of her spirit and creativity, and she was a force that destroyed bridges as rapidly as she constructed them. The friendships she severed were famous in their own right, and the sacrifices she made to be authentic in her music were equally remarkable. As legendary as Joni's legacy was, it appeared doomed to be both cherished and shrouded in mystery. Many people remember Joni Mitchell today not just for her music, but also for the passion she infused into her life. Her handprints were visible everywhere she went. An artist and a provocateur, she could see through people's masks and shamelessly expose them. The music industry was more of a battleground than a playground in her view. She fought against what she perceived as commercialization and inauthenticity through her words, which she used as weapons. There were times when her own work suffered as a result of her passion and her dogged quest for authenticity. Few could truly comprehend Joni's journey. Part of her life that was both amazing and lonely were her disagreements, criticisms, and disputes with classmates. Perhaps unwittingly, she cut herself apart from a world that couldn't keep up with her vision as she broke barriers and shattered customs. For Mitchell, there existed no alternate reality or alternative course of action. Along with the enduring brilliance of her art, the legacy of a woman who fearlessly challenged herself and others to live a life devoid of compromise will also endure.